Today, we're exploring the key ideas from Freakonomics by Dubner, Levitt. This is an independent educational overview, enriched with our own integrative analysis and actionable exercises. Think of it as a guided reflection to spark your own insights, not a replacement for reading the book itself. The book delves into the complex tapestry of human behavior and societal phenomena through an unconventional lens, revealing the often hidden forces that truly shape our world. It argues that beneath the veneer of intricate motivations and widely accepted explanations lies a simpler yet profoundly powerful set of drivers, incentives, information imbalances, and the stark difference between correlation and causation. Rather than accepting popular narratives or expert pronouncements at face value, the book champions a data-driven, skeptical approach to understanding the world. It invites readers to discard conventional wisdom, often born of convenience or self-interest, and instead embrace the sometimes uncomfortable, often surprising truths illuminated by rigorous analysis. From the mundane choices of daily life to profound shifts in crime rates, the book demonstrates that an economic perspective, one that relentlessly asks why and then seeks empirical evidence, can expose the underlying mechanics of nearly everything, revealing patterns and connections that remain invisible to the casual observer. It's a journey into the counterintuitive, where seemingly disparate elements converge to paint a clearer picture of human nature and its intricate dance with its environment. This perspective ultimately challenges us to think more critically, to question assumptions, and to appreciate the subtle yet powerful levers that truly move societies. The potent logic of incentives. Human actions, far from being solely driven by lofty ideals or complex psychology, frequently respond to the simple, powerful pull of incentives. These are the subtle nudges that steer individuals toward desired behaviors and away from undesirable ones. Yet their design is a delicate art, often fraught with drastically unforeseen consequences. Consider a community library aiming to reduce overdue books, which introduced a small daily fee for late returns. Far from curtailing tardiness, borrowing and late returns increased as patrons, now able to buy off their guilt, perceived the modest penalty as an affordable extension fee, inadvertently replacing a moral obligation with an inadequate economic transaction. Incentives operate in three fundamental modes: economic, social, and moral. A government levy on certain goods acts as an economic disincentive, while public campaigns promoting civic responsibility exert social pressure. Appeals to patriotism or shared values introduce moral incentives. These forces constantly shape our choices, influencing decisions from adhering to legal norms driven by the economic fear of penalties, the moral aversion to wrongdoing, and the social stigma of being perceived as an offender, to the myriad daily decisions we make. However, when incentives become skewed, they create fertile ground for dishonesty. Cheating, at its core, is a primal economic strategy, gaining more for less. This phenomenon is astonishingly prevalent when stakes are high, extending beyond overt criminals to everyday individuals and even respected professionals. For instance, a policy change requiring stricter verification of residential claims on benefits forms led to a sudden disappearance of millions of previously declared inhabitants in certain housing units, immediately exposing widespread incentive-driven fraud. High-stakes environments, such as those where professional performance is measured by specific metrics, offer compelling insights into how incentives can corrupt. When annual performance bonuses for healthcare providers, for example, become directly tied to patient satisfaction scores, some clinics might exhibit a questionable rise in positive feedback. While blatant manipulation is rare, subtler methods emerge, such as prioritizing easy cases for extended consultation or selectively scheduling patients to optimize outcomes. This systemic dishonesty, while appearing to improve performance, can ultimately undermine genuine quality of care and foster a false sense of achievement. Similarly, even in highly ritualized and honor-bound professional sports, economic incentives can lead to illicit agreements. In a competitive professional esports league where rankings dictate significant prize money, statistical analysis revealed an anomaly. Players near a crucial promotion threshold often secured narrow victories against opponents who had already clinched their next tier. These bubble players' win rates in such matches were remarkably higher than their average performance, a pattern that vanished in non-pressure rematches. This strongly suggested a tacit exchange of favors. You let me win this critical match, and I'll reciprocate when stakes are lower for you. Such collusion often extended across teams, indicating systematic corruption. These revelations prompt a crucial question: are people inherently dishonest? A study involving an unattended coffee stand where customers were invited to pay into a transparent donation box offered an unexpected window into everyday honesty. Despite no oversight, a significant majority of customers paid. While people occasionally took coffee without paying, they rarely stole the cash box itself, illustrating a nuanced social calculus of theft, where the context of the transgression matters more than its monetary value. The data also revealed that smaller, tighter-knit communities exhibited higher honesty due to greater social scrutiny, and payment rates fluctuated with mood. Pleasant weather correlated with increased payments, while stressful holidays saw a sharp increase in non-payment. Even significant national crises correlated with a temporary significant increase in payment rates, suggesting a surge in communal solidarity or empathy. This experience, echoing ancient philosophical thought experiments about human morality in the absence of accountability, suggests a more optimistic view. Most people, most of the time, choose honesty even without external enforcement. While the world is shaped by powerful, sometimes distorting incentives, an innate moral compass still guides a significant portion of human behavior. The unmasking power of information, particularly when held exclusively, is a potent source of power, creating information asymmetry, where one party holds a distinct advantage. A secretive historical society, known for its exclusive rituals, coded communications, and intimidating anonymity, once wielded considerable local influence through its carefully guarded knowledge. However, this formidable organization proved remarkably vulnerable when its secrets were exposed. An investigative journalist, collaborating with an infiltrator, meticulously gathered the society's arcane jargon, secret handshakes, and leadership structure, then astonishingly broadcast these details to the public through various media. By revealing the society's inner workings, the journalist stripped away its mystique, transforming a source of fear into a subject of mockery, and significantly eroding its membership and influence. This audacious act highlighted a profound principle. The hoarding of information creates imbalances, and its exposure can be a powerful democratizing force. The digital age has emerged as a formidable tool against such imbalances. Consider the market for specialized home services, where online platforms suddenly enabled consumers to compare prices across dozens of providers. This transparency forced prices down dramatically, diminishing the traditional information advantage held by individual contractors. Similarly, the immediate depreciation of a new car reflects buyers' assumption of hidden negative information, a lemon risk. Experts across various fields, from financial advisors to automotive mechanics and even medical professionals, often leverage their superior information and clients' emotional vulnerability or lack of knowledge to steer decisions that benefit the expert more than the client. Real estate agents, for instance, demonstrably sell their own homes for higher prices and keep them on the market longer than their clients' homes. Their incentives are misaligned. Earning an extra few $100s for a prolonged sale of your home provides little motivation compared to quickly securing a commission. Agents skillfully use ambiguous phrasing in ads like charming, well-maintained, to signal underlying issues to savvy buyers while sounding complimentary to sellers, or employ urgency tactics to expedite sales. Yet, here too, the Internet's democratization of market data has begun to chip away at their informational advantage, narrowing the price gap between agent-owned and client-owned homes. Beyond commerce, information asymmetry shapes our social interactions. People meticulously curate their public self-presentation to avoid appearing prejudiced, as evidenced by the political downfall of public figures for bigoted remarks. A reality television show where contestants privately voted to eliminate peers paradoxically showed public statements of non-discrimination while consistently targeting contestants based on age or perceived language barriers. Similarly, online dating profiles frequently feature exaggerated claims about income or physical attributes. Moreover, despite many users claiming race doesn't matter, actual communication patterns reveal strong preferences for partners of their own ethnic background, suggesting a public performance of open-mindedness over genuine preference. Even in politics, voters may mislead pollsters about their true candidate preferences to avoid appearing biased, and unscrupulous figures exploited supporters' trust for personal financial gain through deceptive information. The gulf between publicly proclaimed information and privately held truths is often vast, but transparency, whether through investigative journalism, technology, or social science, consistently reveals these hidden layers. Disentangling causation from convention. Genuine understanding often springs from asking provocative questions that challenge widely held beliefs. These beliefs, often perpetuated by convenience, simplicity, or self-interest, can obscure the true underlying mechanisms of social phenomena. Conventional wisdom, whether born from expert pronouncements, persistent advertising, or official narratives, frequently diverges from objective reality. An advocate for a social cause, for instance, might inflate statistics to capture public attention, even if untrue. Similarly, persistent marketing can transform an obscure medical condition into a widespread social catastrophe, dramatically boosting sales. Even official bodies, such as law enforcement agencies, sometimes manipulate statistics to improve a city's image or secure more resources. In all such instances, perceived expertise or consistent messaging shapes public perception and, by extension, perceived reality. Consider how, during a period of widespread illicit substance use, media narratives often depicted drug distributors as universally affluent. However, direct observation in affected urban areas frequently showed many low-level dealers still living in poverty. This stark contradiction begged a crucial question. If illicit trade was so lucrative, why were most participants struggling? The answer lay in uncovering the right data, a quest that led an intrepid sociologist to embed himself within a specific street gang. This immersive approach, which spanned years, provided unprecedented access, culminating in the acquisition of the gang's detailed financial ledgers, revealing the true economics of their illicit enterprise. What was discovered was that a street gang operates strikingly like a standard capitalist corporation. The local leaders branch was part of a larger organization, with the leader remitting a substantial percentage of revenue to a central authority. Beneath the leader were mid-level managers, followed by street-level sellers, and finally a large rank and file who paid dues for protection and the slim hope of advancement. The financial records laid bare a severely skewed wage distribution. While the leader earned a significant annual income, his managers made a modest hourly wage, and the street-level sellers earned a mere fraction of minimum wage, despite facing abysmal working conditions, including frequent arrests, injuries, and a terrifyingly high chance of being killed. The vast majority of profits flowed to the very top. The conventional image of the affluent drug dealer was, for most, a myth. So, why would anyone take such a job? The allure stemmed from the lack of legitimate opportunities in impoverished neighborhoods and the powerful incentive of a tournament model. Like aspiring actors or athletes, street-level sellers entered a highly competitive field, willing to endure low pay and extreme danger for the minuscule chance of reaching the very top, a position that offered significant wealth, glory, and power within their world. The problem was that many more competed for success than could ever achieve it. Even violence within the gang was driven by contrasting incentives. While leaders preferred peace for business stability, lower-ranking members, desperate to distinguish themselves, often initiated turf wars to prove their mettle, seeing it as a path to respect and promotion. This exploration of illicit markets leads to another profound mystery: the unexpected decline in violent crime during the 1990s. After a sustained surge, crime rates in an industrialized nation began an unexpected descent, confounding experts who had confidently predicted their continued rise. Once the relief settled, the natural question arose: where did all the criminals go? Experts quickly offered numerous explanations, often tailored to their own interests. However, a closer look at the data revealed that most popular theories offered little insight, while one significant factor went almost entirely unmentioned. Conventional explanations, like a booming economy or stricter sentencing, showed minimal correlation or insufficient impact. While increased incarceration and a rise in police numbers contributed, they accounted for only a portion of the decline. The gradual aging of the population was too slow to explain the sudden shift. The most significant, yet unacknowledged, factor driving the crime drop was a demographic shift spurred by a major legal decision 2 decades prior that granted broad access to abortion. This decision disproportionately affected unmarried, teenage, or poor women who previously lacked access to safe procedures. By preventing the births of a generation of unwanted children, those who would have faced the highest risk factors for a criminal future, legalized abortion effectively reduced the pool of potential criminals hitting their late teens in the early 1990s. The timing of this demographic shift perfectly aligned with the subsequent crime reduction, a powerful, albeit morally complex, ripple effect. This same analytical rigor extends to our understanding of parenting. Societal anxieties often drive an industry of parental advice, creating a disproportionate fear of rare dangers while overlooking common, statistically greater risks. For example, parents might worry excessively about distant threats while ignoring more prevalent household hazards. This skewed perception, where risk equals hazard plus outrage, leads to an overemphasis on active interventions with limited efficacy. Research, including studies comparing adopted children to biological siblings, suggests that genetic predispositions account for a significant portion of a child's temperament and abilities. Furthermore, while profoundly detrimental environments clearly hinder development, many specific parenting actions, like structured enrichment activities or strict disciplinary methods, show surprisingly little direct correlation with early academic performance once a child's underlying genetic and socioeconomic factors are accounted for. Instead, who parents are, their education, income, stability, creates an environment and genetic endowment that largely sets the stage, with specific day-to-day interventions having less measurable impact on early cognitive scores. The presence of cultural artifacts like books in a home, for instance, often serves more as an indicator of parent values and intelligence than a direct cause of a child's academic success. Long-term studies, however, hint at a more nuanced picture, suggesting adoptive parents, despite not influencing early test scores, can significantly steer their children towards greater adult achievement through a supportive environment. Finally, the belief that a child's name can preordain their destiny is a powerful one. However, extensive analysis of birth records reveals that names themselves are typically not causal agents of success or failure. Instead, a name often serves as a strong indicator of the socioeconomic background and aspirations of the parents who chose it. Distinctive names, more common in disadvantaged communities, correlate with poorer outcomes not because the name itself is a barrier, but because it reflects the challenges faced by the families who select them. Similarly, naming trends in more affluent communities often trickle down, with unique names becoming popular and then being abandoned as they become common, demonstrating parents' desire to signal status and unique hopes for their children rather than actively shaping destiny through a moniker. The overarching methodology woven throughout these analyses emphasizes a cultivated skepticism toward conventional wisdom and a relentless pursuit of empirical evidence. It's a call to observe the world not as we wish it to be, but as it actually operates, often driven by subtle and counterintuitive forces. This approach intentionally steps back from moral judgments, acknowledging that while morality delineates an ideal world, economics describes the actual one. The true power lies in asking good questions, those that probe topics people care about and lead to surprising, data-backed answers that overturn ingrained assumptions. The continuous thread linking these disparate explorations is the imperative to distinguish correlation from causation. Many deeply held beliefs about human behavior, societal trends, and personal outcomes are built on spurious correlations or incomplete information. By meticulously analyzing data, even in seemingly unrelated fields, one can unearth the true drivers, revealing, for instance, that a dramatic shift in crime rates can be attributed to complex, interconnected factors far beyond simplified political rhetoric, or that parental influence on a child's early academic success stems more from their intrinsic characteristics and environment than specific day-to-day actions. This perspective encourages a deeper understanding of incentives, how they shape honesty and dishonesty, individual choices and systemic corruption, and how information asymmetry confers power only to be disrupted by transparency. Ultimately, the insights gleaned challenge us to look beyond surface explanations, to embrace complexity, and to recognize the profound impact of underlying structures and incentives. While many inquiries will lead nowhere, some will undeniably unveil surprising truths, fostering a new way of engaging with the world. The greatest implication is a heightened propensity for critical thinking, an appreciation for the subtle interplay of forces, and a recognition that human outcomes are a tapestry woven from myriad threads, some within our control, many others deeply pre-existing, and a significant portion subject to unpredictable, random effects. This is powerfully illustrated by the contrasting lives of two individuals, one born into privilege, the other abandoned and abused. Both eventually found themselves at a prestigious university, yet their subsequent life paths diverged dramatically, showcasing the intricate, often unpredictable dynamics that ultimately shape human destiny. Actionable Exercises. Actionable Exercises. Heading 1. Decode the incentives driving behavior. Think about a reoccurring situation where people's actions, including your own, seem counterintuitive, frustrating, or don't align with stated goals. This could be a personal habit you want to change, a team dynamic at work, or even a societal issue you observe. Take time to identify the actual incentives at play for those involved. Are there economic benefits, social pressures, or moral considerations that might be unintentionally driving the behavior? Look beyond the surface. Consider how removing, adding, or adjusting these underlying incentives, rather than just demanding different behavior, could lead to genuinely different and more desirable outcomes. Understanding the why behind actions, even when it's surprising, is the first step toward effective change. 2. Unlock hidden information for better decisions. In many significant decisions, someone else holds more crucial information than you do. This information asymmetry can put you at a disadvantage, whether you're buying a new gadget, choosing a service, or even navigating a personal relationship. Pick an upcoming decision that feels important. Identify who might have an information advantage and what specific pieces of knowledge they lack. Now, actively strategize how you can gain access to that information. What questions can you ask? What data can you research independently? Can you seek out unbiased sources or third-party reviews? Empower yourself by becoming a proactive information seeker rather than passively accepting what's presented to you. 3. Master the art of the good question. Conventional wisdom often feels comfortable and easy, but it can also obscure deeper truths. Challenge yourself to ask a good question about a widely accepted belief or practice in your life or community. A good question isn't just about doubt, it's about genuine curiosity, seeking a surprising answer, and being open to overturning what you thought you knew. For example, instead of accepting that X is the best way to do Y, ask, under what specific conditions might X not be the best way, and what incentives might be making people believe it is? Push past the initial convenient answer and look for data, subtle hints, or overlooked perspectives that reveal a more nuanced reality. 4. Recalibrate your risk radar. Our emotions often steer us to fear the wrong things while overlooking true silent dangers. Think about 2 to 3 risks you frequently worry about for yourself or your loved ones, perhaps related to health, safety, or finances. Now, take a step back and research the actual statistical hazard associated with each. How likely is it to occur? Contrast this objective hazard with your emotional outrage or dread factor. Why does this particular risk feel so scary or consuming, even if the probability is low? Consider if you're allocating too much mental or practical energy to low-probability, high-outrage risks, and identify any higher-hazard, low-out risks you might be downplaying. Redirect your focus to where it can truly make a difference. 5. Discover your are versus do superpowers. When pursuing a significant goal, we often focus intensely on the specific actions we do. However, your underlying who you are, your foundational characteristics, talents, and environment can have an even greater impact. Choose a personal or professional aspiration. List the key actions you are taking or plan to take to achieve it. Then honestly identify the core attributes and circumstances you bring to the table. Your innate strengths, personality traits, existing resources, health, or even your stable relationships. Reflect on how much each category, your are and your do, truly contributes to your progress. This isn't to diminish effort, but to understand your leverage points and appreciate that your fundamental self provides a powerful, often overlooked foundation. That wraps up our exploration of today's book. If even one idea here gave you something to reflect on, give it a like so YouTube knows to share more with you. And if you'd like the next insight in your feed, hit subscribe. Remember, what you heard today is our independent interpretation, enriched with analysis and exercises. The full book has far more depth, so consider reading it to experience the author's work directly. Thanks for listening to DeftU Insights, where we turn great books into tools for growth.